that we. What's crazy to me is, regardless of how you feel about how the Israeli military and the army is pursuing the war in Gaza, regardless of that, the blatant, just out in the open anti-Semitism that we see today is like nothing I've ever seen before. Like roaches coming out of the woodwork. Like what? Like you see it all over social media, and it's like,
okay, guys, so we need to finally have this discussion full on out in the open, and I hope this channel lasts after I have this discussion with you guys, okay? Because we are starting to go too far with subjective terms. Let me be clear, and let me go ahead and make the disclaimer right now, okay? We disavow violence, we disavow blatant like harassment of people, making fun of people's looks based on their immutable characteristics, and things like that. However, there are certain things that are being called anti, and I am not going to use the word that much on this episode. Yes, because it might flag the episode, whatever. It is what it is. So that it's too subjective at this point, and we need to talk about it. And this is not even a game anymore. Like, it's not, because it's going to get worse. Okay. And so we're just going to have the full out discussion. So let's listen to the rest of what Joe Rogan is saying. Now, I have seen some responses here and there, about anti, but when it comes to that, like some really vulgar responses and stuff from anonymous accounts. Okay. I've seen that too with regular like black hate. Like, dog, are you kidding me? Like, I've seen it so much. It is what it is, as long as we disavow violence. And that is the last disclaimer I'm going to make. I'm tired of tiptoeing around this conversation. So let's get into it.
If this was September and not October, like if this is just, you would be shunned. Everybody would be like, this is horrible. How the fuck could you say this? How are you're openly anti-Semitic. You're openly blaming the Jews for all the world's problems. This is crazy.
Boom. Okay. And I'm going to just show you how even that can be taken too far, with even saying that all the world's problems. No, nobody is saying that. Okay. We need to be careful with the subjective term, because they've already started writing laws on this. Okay. This is a problem when we're taking in definitions and everything. We've talked about this, and we're going to keep talking about it. I'm sorry. I get worked up about my rights being taken away. Yes. Okay. Now, like, you can't take on a subject like this, Joe Rogan, and be so flippant about it and just say broad things, especially when laws are being written about it. And I have not heard Joe Rogan address those laws yet on his channel, and I can guarantee you he's not. I can guarantee you he's not. A lot of people who watch this is an episode with Gad Saad and Gad Saad. I have to make sure to say it the right way. And they've watched this episode with Gad Saad, and then the episode that was on before was with some sort of CIA agent. So a lot of people were under the comments. They were very refreshing, and they were saying like, "Whoa, like, what is this going on? Like, is this some sort of, surveillance, So since Joe can't have the full conversation like how we can have it here on Bring the Asteroid In, again, thank you guys always for watching. Please, please, please hit the like button. Please subscribe to the channel. I'm coming back with more material, a lot more material. Just trying to keep up with everything, but I love making these videos. Love talking to you guys and having balanced conversation. And pretty soon we'll be streaming. I'm trying to get up to 1,000 subscribers so we can actually start streaming and start really, really talking about this stuff. Anyway, and thank you always for watching. But coming back to it, we're going to have the full conversation. I'm going to let Joe finish saying what he's saying, and we're going to talk about this.
Now, when those teachers were in front of Congress, when those principals of those universities were in front of Congress, and they were saying that it's not harassment to say death to the Jews unless it's actionable, which is the craziest mental verbal gymnastics I have ever heard anyone say that's in that position, in a position of being the head of Harvard. It was so crazy to watch. It's so crazy to see. It's almost like we live in an alternative timeline. Like we entered into a new dimension. Like in our sleep, we woke up, but we're in a new place.
Okay, so that's not what's going on. Okay, so calm down. So like we're gonna have to help Joe and his little friend here. Now, He's talking about the thing that happened with October 7th with the colleges. People, if you're not ready to live in America and the First Amendment, you're going to have to find somewhere else to live. Okay. Now, and I'm going to address the calling out roaches like Jake Shields, but I want to know who he really is calling out. And this is why I'm saying, is he calling out Candace Owens? Because this is the person who's really been a target of this campaign. I am not one that is a Candace Owens fan. Like, oh yeah, everything Candace says is right. Like, no, trust me. I'm actually shocked that lately I've been agreeing with her. Okay. But coming back to it, Joe, this is America. A kook can walk out. We're going to use black just to be safe, right? A kook could walk down this thing. 3-4 kooks could walk down this thing and start down my neighborhood and start saying death to the blacks. As long as it's not actionable. Yes, they can. Here's the better part. The phrase, which I'm not going to say on the show, was from the to the, and this place will be free, right? So they said that was the call for erasure of a group. When we start to calculate words and how they're going in sentences and start calling them, some sort of harassment or assault, we have a problem in this country. And I don't know if you guys have been a part or lived through 9/11, but I have, right? And what came out of that? The Patriot Act, okay? All of this stuff is going to be tacked on to the Patriot Act when we take on these definitions. We've talked about the definitions already, but you can't even criticize a foreign nation without being called this thing, or you can't even talk about certain parts in the Bible without being called this thing. This is a problem. And so for me, I'm not going to shy away from talking about it, even though I know I'm mincing my words, unfortunately, because I know where I'm at, right? But believe me, I'm not going to do this thing where like, well, I could see, I'm not nuancing words. I'm not doing it. I'm not nuancing, but this is America. Now, if I lived somewhere else all my life and I was used to that type of dictatorship, but then yeah, it's another day. This is not the UK where you can't pray in public, because if you're praying in public, it might, I guess, be like some sort of threat to somebody else. How far does this go? Okay. Now, the calling out cockroaches like Jake Shields. Okay.
Jake Shields said to me, "You lie like a Jew."
Okay. And I'm not going to let that play too much. So, yes, Jake Shields did obviously kind of go too far making that statement. Sorry for laughing. It's just like, it was shocking when I heard it too. I was like, okay, wait, what's going on? Like, why did he say that? And what happened was that Jake Shields was supposed to go on Tim Cast. There was a whole situation because the person he was going on Tim Cast with or whatever. And Tim definitely dodged the interview. Like, that he did. But when you go off the meat racks like that, when you go out of bounds like that, your whole point is missed. And Jake Shields did, in fact, apologize. So there's that, right? So I get that. Okay, so I can understand that a stereotype like that is not good. So I will concede to that. But I want to go back to the person that really is on the not to say limelight, but this is the person who's really been getting these attacks. And I'm sorry, I just think that it's just taking it too far. Like it really is. We have here where this person, I don't know who this, I'm not going to make this person famous, right? So we have to go back to the tweet. Now here's the tweet, right? Foreign interest lobbying group APAC is running a $300,000 worth of ads as a part of pressure campaign to influence my votes in Congress. The Foreign Agents Registration Act requires agents of foreign principals to register and disclose certain information. And so then he had ran a poll, saying, should APAC register as foreign agent? He better be careful doing that too, because, this is why she said what she said, protect Thomas Massey at all costs. Yes, listen, we're going to keep it real. There was a president in the past who tried to make that happen with the Zionist Organization of America, okay? And then all of a sudden he wasn't president anymore. We'll keep it there, right? Like, we have to ask questions. And it goes still back to the Tucker Carlson thing where it's like, oh my gosh, you're asking questions. Now you're being bad. That is almost too close to being what, quote, anti-Sem, right? But no, there's a lot of patterns that make me believe that a foreign nation did what foreign nations can do. Yes. Anyway, moving right along. So, and I felt the same way. You see, she said protect Thomas Massey at all costs. So this person, I'm not even going to say his name, real Candace Owens, Thomas is just as this anti-S as you are, and we will make sure he is no longer in our Republican Party. I want these people out. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want that person in my Republican Party. You see what I'm saying? Why? Because he's putting America first? What do you mean? Like, and so now you're making people mad. And well, you know what? Keep it up, because it's going to make people say, like, well, what's going on with the Republican Party? And I can go on for days about the Republican Party. So Candace Owens says, looks like the latest definition of anti is the belief that AIPAC and all apparent foreign lobbyists should be banned from influencing our elections and attacking our congressmen. At this point, I think we need Amber Alerts for the daily. I'm sorry. I didn't fully read the thing. She's right. Like, when am I doing an anti? I don't know. Especially if you have these definitions now that y'all are attacking on. There is a national strategy for countering. Okay? They have that. I'll show it to you at the end. Me trying to explain the definition of anti to my kids, like, it's also Christ is King sometimes, but it's also mourning the dead Palestinian children, but also the harbor belief that AIPAC shouldn't intimidate politicians, but also bringing up how this situation here, this place conducted a situation on Americans aboard the USS Liberty. Y'all look that up, but also discussing Bolshevism and the Christian, you know what I mean? Like, and then these are words I feel like I can't even say, but like also defending against yourself against a rabbi that's threatening your life, but like also defending yourself at all sometimes, but also like looking into the history. Okay, so right, there was that time when she was like, yo, I'm gonna look into the history of, you know what I mean, the degenerate movies. Okay, and they were like, you're anti. It has to stop. We're not doing this. We are not doing it. So this person is under Joe Rogan. Joe Rogan went too far, and I know what he was doing, because that guy was sitting in front of him, and so he started getting to do the pandering thing. It's okay. This is how people act. We have to call it out. And so then he said, these are cockroaches coming out of the wood. Of course, he's not going to say names. He sees it online. But to think that, so like, really, has he looked into these lobbying agencies? Has he? Because at this point, with the definition that's out there for this term, Joe Rogan is effectively calling Candace Owens, well, now I'm not going to use Jake, me, like other people. And I'm not even saying Jake Shields is, I'm really not, but like, I know the whole lie, like, so people are going to get worked up. But he's effectively labeling us with that. And then do you know what happens? Let me tell you what happens. You get this guy here breathing down your back.
And the woman who runs it, she's an ex-Facebook executive. I have software engineers and data scientists working at ADL. We're monitoring all this stuff. And we're working with all the platforms, by the way, Google and YouTube and Meta and Twitter and Reddit and Steam and Amazon, all these companies.
What is Steam? Amazon? What is Steam? I didn't even know that was a thing, right? But he knows. And they watch things. They even mess with algorithms.
Zoom, we work with all of them, okay? That's relevant because we've been working with Twitter now since it was founded. We work with the old regime, working with the new regime. Like, I'm talking to Elon.
You're going to want to hear this.
This is a problem, man. Like, because what this goes into is also the algorithms. This is why I can't say certain words and everything, keywords and all this stuff or whatever. So this is a problem, because he said it. He was like, we work with the algorithms to make sure that they're safe. Okay. I mean, no, this is America. If this was a bunch of black folk doing this, I would call it out the same way I'm calling it out right now. We cannot have this. This has gone from, just a simple, like, okay, just conversation. Guess what? I'm not even going to go into the war on this channel too much, to full on. You better not talk about it. Don't get too comfortable, or else, you'll have to, you won't be able to explain away your issue. I have footage of this guy saying these kind of things. This is America. Okay. This is America. And I'm not going to do the whole, this isn't Russia. I'm not doing that. But here we have a First Amendment. It is a person's right to be as racist as they want to be, just as long as they're not a danger to themselves and others. Okay. So people, wake up. Thank you for watching.